What's up, guys? Welcome to the Saturday Show. This, of course, is the show on the weekends where I like to take a look back at the previous week of Newswave, see what you guys had to say about all the different topics, and kind of respond. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time to see what you guys had to say. First, though, let's take a look at some quick news that's already come out yesterday and I guess now today. If you were looking at Yakuza Kiwami 2 and you were very curious about it, you wanted to see a little more, they've actually released a demo now on the PS4. This is currently available on the North American and the European stores for the PlayStation. And what's really cool here is you can just go download it, try it out. I know there's a lot of big Yakuza fans out there who are really curious about this game. You can look to pick this one up August 28th on the PS4, of course. And I think it's going to be good for a lot of Yakuza fans who have been looking forward to this one and just getting more Yakuza. Also, we had Dragon Marked for Death make an appearance panel at Anime Expo 2017. That's in Los Angeles. Inti Creates showcased a brand new trailer, and they finally told us that it's happening this winter. We've had it pushed back a couple times now for the Switch, but we can finally look forward to it later on this year. And Dragon Marked for Death, if you don't know, it's an action RPG for up to 4 players, and it's designed in a 2D side-scrolling environment. It's being developed by teams behind, get this, Mega Man Zero. So that is really cool because I like the Mega Man Zero series. If you didn't play that, that was on the Game Boy Advance, and it was kind of the next evolution of basically Mega Man X, kind of. But Mega Man Zero was a good time. I'm looking forward to this just to see what that team can come up with going forward. So we'll have to look forward to that. No actual release date. We just know it's coming sometime later this year in the wintertime. All right, guys, with that out of the way, let's get started with Monday. We talked about comments from the new Nintendo president, Shintaro Furukawa, regarding a possible 3DS successor. His comments seem to point towards Nintendo liking the price point of the 3DS line, with the cheapest system being the 2DS at $80, much cheaper than the current $300 Switch price point. Matt Dorman says, it doesn't make sense that Nintendo is going to make a successor for the 3DS while they have the Switch. I mean, Pokemon is moving to the Switch, same goes for Fire Emblem, and they're both exclusively for the 3DS, and now they're on the Switch. You know, I thought the same thing. Once Pokemon went to the Switch, I was like, that's it for the 3DS. There's really no need for it anymore now that the Switch has its strongest, I mean, seriously, its strongest franchise. If it wasn't for Pokemon, the 3DS probably would have struggled more than the DS. Really, Pokemon kept Nintendo's handhelds going at a stellar rate. I mean, seriously, Pokemon is massive. Now, there were other games, obviously, but you think of any Nintendo's handhelds, you definitely think of Pokemon all the way back to the Game Boy with Red and Blue. I played Fire Red a lot, too, though, on the Game Boy Advance. But still, it's interesting to see them talk about this, but I think, as I was saying, I think they were talking more so about the price point, right, rather than just another 3DS successor. I think they like that $80 2DS price point. I think consumers like that $80 price point as well, but I don't know how the Switch can get that cheap. Maybe they are thinking about another handheld. It would be odd since the Switch technically is a handheld with obviously the ability to do video out and then really take its processor up a bit and give you a screen and everything on your TV and play with a controller or whatever. But still, it'd be very odd to do that since Nintendo could take their teams and move everyone to the Switch and have a good release calendar for everything because all their teams will be working on it. But they are supporting the 3DS into 2019, as we've seen, so maybe there is something there. They're definitely exploring possibilities, but I think it all comes down to the price of the 2DS and the 3DS line more than anything. Tuesday, we went over comments from Reggie from Nintendo of America that seems to hint towards another Nintendo Classic system in the future. Many are thinking the N64 is the next up for a compilation system right now. PT is also seeing a remake from a fan, bringing it to PC using the Unreal Engine 4. Starlink says, hopefully when the Nintendo 64 Classic comes out, we will see some rare titles on there. Considering Nintendo and Microsoft are playing nice with each other right now, it may have a chance at happening. I actually think you're onto something here, Starling. I've talked about it before. I feel like the one thing that might be holding up the Nintendo 64 Classic is the licensing for the rare titles. I think Microsoft and Nintendo have to work out money because obviously Microsoft should be compensated in some way since they own Rare right now, and those are their titles technically in terms of licensing. But I feel like GoldenEye has other people involved as well. I know it's kind of a licensing copyright nightmare right now, but if they can get that worked out, that would be immensely impressive, and that would, I think, take the sales to the next level because a lot of people I would talk to when I was working at stores and everything for video games, especially retro games, GoldenEye was the game they always asked for the 64. You guys have GoldenEye? Can I get that 64? Can I get GoldenEye? It was every time, every time. And it makes sense. And honestly, if we could have a smooth running GoldenEye on a Nintendo 64 Classic, people will pay good money for that. Even if it was like 20 games instead of like 30 or something, but it had GoldenEye along with some of the other classics, like, you know, Mario Kart, Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, right? It's another Rare title. You go down the line there, if they do that, it would be worth so much more than if they had 30 games, I think, without GoldenEye or without Rare games. Seriously, I think Rare right now is make or break for this Nintendo 64 Classic. I would like to think that Nintendo and Microsoft can get all this stuff worked out, and if they can, that will be a hot holiday item, and I'm in for it right away. Wednesday, we found out Nintendo will be attending Tokyo Game Show with backroom meetings that will be by appointment only, leaving us all to wonder, what is Nintendo up to? Also, a new job listing for next year's Infinity Ward developed Call of Duty lists next-gen consoles, sparking the conversation of a potential PS5 and Xbox 2 being released in 2019. Jay Skeleton's Nintendo World says, to be fair, Xbox One and PS4 were revealed May and June of 2013 and then released the same year in November, so it's very possible that happens in 2019. Reveal at E3 and release for Christmas time. Infinity Ward's job listing is a heavy indicator towards next gen coming out in 2019. I strongly believe it'll happen, but time will tell. So I was trying to figure this one out because this is interesting. I don't know why Infinity Ward would be hiring for next-gen systems now, because they wouldn't be up again for another 3 years after this one comes out. It could have been a poor choice of wording, right, for the job listing. That's possible. But if next generation really is coming 2019, they would be working on 4 different versions then, I assume, right? A PS4, a PS5, an Xbox One, and then whatever the next Xbox is called. Xbox 2. It makes sense, but we were talking Xbox 720 back in the day, and they come out with Xbox One, so who really knows at this point? I don't know. I'd like to think they would just call it something simple like Xbox 2, but they could call it whatever they want at this point, and we would probably still buy it. Well, a lot of people would, because the next gen is always exciting for people when new hardware comes out, but I feel like Microsoft could do that if they wanted to, whether they do a whole big thing in February or even March, and then have this big charge towards the holiday season, giving themselves 8 months or so of marketing and explanations and talking about it and reveals. They have Inside Xbox, they continue to reveal information every single month, and then E3 have a big blowout. And I feel like some Xbox One X users would be pretty mad about that, but Microsoft, it's up to them to start the next generation, because I don't think Sony is in a rush. But if Microsoft starts the next gen, it might put Sony on their heels, and they might feel the need to also jump in, but we'll see. Thursday, we took a look at the first published review for Octopath Traveler coming from Famitsu. The game was given 4 nines, giving it a score of 36 out of 40. We also looked at the Switch continuing to top the charts in Japan, despite a decline in stock value. Matt Dorman says the Switch is on its way to outsell the PS4 in terms of sales, because handhelds are popular in Japan. You're absolutely correct about that. Handhelds are very popular. The Vita proves it, because even though the Vita is pretty much dead everywhere else, it still sells thousands of systems every week in Japan. And it's crazy to me to see that, but it does, because handhelds are very popular in Japan, because really space is kind of at a premium. A lot of different households there don't generally have 4 TVs like we do here in the US. We have like 3 or 4 TVs per household, which is pretty crazy if you really think about it, but they don't have that many TVs per household, so they like having their own personalized screen with something like the Switch, the Vita, cell phones. That's very popular over in Japan. The Switch is showing that. Over 4.5 million systems already. That's insane. Like, it's obviously going to catch the PS4 probably after Pokemon comes out, and then Smash, boom, boom. You know, seriously, if you look at it, they're about 4 weeks apart. So it's going to be this series of like 8 weeks of just massive sales, as long as Nintendo can, of course, get a lot of systems out. But don't be surprised if that happens. The PS4 hasn't really had any big hype behind it in Japan. Even after Monster Hunter came out, that kind of died off after a little while. And I guess we're going to see the Switch sprint past it later this year. Definitely by the beginning of 2019, you're going to see that Switch probably over 7 million units, and probably either even or past the PS4. Ivan Ramos says Bethesda has a Switch team that's more teams than Activision and EA combined. Well, EA, I know EA has some type of team that is working specifically with the Switch and FIFA, since they developed an entire engine around the Switch. I think a lot of that had to do with Nintendo coming in and basically working with them to make that happen behind the scenes, but they at least have some kind of Switch team for their FIFA line. FIFA is worth, I think, enough for them to have an entire team just for that one game in the Switch, since they make obscene amounts of money with their microtransactions in that game with FIFA Ultimate Team and everything. So they at least have a team, kind of, but it definitely sounds like Bethesda has a team that's working on more than just one game. Like, you know, FIFA works there. Activision is, I don't know. Who knows what Activision's doing over there? But it's pretty clear Bethesda is behind the Switch, and they have a team that is jumping from different projects to get them done. So we'll see what their team has next. It seems like they're almost there to help update things like they kind of did with Doom, right? Where they helped add motion controls and stuff to it. So they might even be more of a support team than anything else, but they're at least getting some stuff done with Fallout Shelter. Even though it's a smaller game, they at least have something to their credit there behind them. And I feel like they probably even helped a little bit with Iron Galaxy and Skyrim, but we'll see what else they could be working on, because Todd Howard at least said they're working on other stuff right now, so we won't have to wait at least very long to see what Panic Button has. A lot of people are assuming they're doing another Bethesda game, but I'd like to see what an internal team at Bethesda can do on their own without needing help from a porting company. Finally, on Friday, we took a look at the Switch homebrew scene, bringing functional N64 emulation to the system. While sound is currently not working, the games themselves seem to run great, giving us a look at what Nintendo could provide someday with their online service offerings. Jerry Totten says, "Joke is on everyone, Nintendo turned retro into their private barbecue joint." You know what? If they did that, I would be really annoyed, because they should make that public and they should make a full restaurant around it, just like Square Enix has a restaurant in Japan. You imagine going to a Retro Studios run restaurant with like Metroid Prime stuff and Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze stuff all over the place and everything. That would be really funny, but no, Retro's just having some fun right now. I feel like even if there is mismanagement in the background, they are getting things done, and I think they're on multiple projects. We talked about Metroid Prime Trilogy HD. I think that's getting ported over by Retro. I think that's part of what one of their teams is doing right now, and I do think, yes, that Star Fox game, the racer, is real. It sounds too crazy not to be real, as weird as that sounds, right? And so many people have confirmed it, so I hope that that's part of the fall direct, right? I hope they show us Metroid Prime Trilogy HD out later on this year, whether it's a November release or an October release or something. And then we hear about the Star Fox game coming next year. Just show it to us, because if it's out within the year, which I assume it would be, right? I assume it'd be a 2019 release. They show it to us in September, and then it's out over the summer of the following year. If it's within a year, you can show it to us, and no one's gonna be mad about it taking forever because it's within the year. Dr. Doobie says, put Hotline Miami 1 and 2 on Switch. Honestly, if they didn't, I would be shocked. I think it's pretty clear that Devolver Digital is probably doing something with Hotline Miami 1 and 2 with the amount of games they say they're bringing over. It'd be weird to leave those out. They have things like Serious Sam, of course, and some others as well. Hotline Miami would be really cool because they've put on a lot of other stuff as well. It's not a super demanding game or anything. Bring it over. I think that's a great set to put on there. They probably count them as individual games, so they probably wouldn't do like a pack or anything. So right there is 2 of their dozen. So you gotta try to figure out 10 more, I guess. Like I said, I saw people talking about like Serious Sam and some others, so there are quite a few out there. I would really like to see an announcement of Metal Wolf Chaos, just to do it, just to say, yep, Metal Wolf Chaos, it's coming to the Switch. That would be, I think, a big one to bring over, just because it's one of those niche type games, but it would be really cool to see on the Switch. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Saturday show. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today. Do you think Retro Studios is rolling in with Metroid Prime Trilogy HD along with their Star Fox racing game, Star Fox Grand Prix? Very curious what you guys think about that. Then, of course, what do you think about the Nintendo 64 emulation on the Switch? Are you going to download the Yakuza Kiwami 2 demo now? Let me know, guys, down below. And later on tonight, I'll see you guys for Spawncast. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time.